Hi, it's the Rawesome Vegan Gal here, and today is actually part 4 of my inner-ēco videos. And last week's video was on the making of coconut yogurt, but I'm actually recording this video a couple of days after making it, because when you use any of the product of the frozen coconut, pureed coconut, it needs to be consumed within a few days. Once you make something out of it, you make a recipe with it. So I used again this young green coconut. They're frozen, they're ready to use, they're pureed, and this is the 8 servings of them that contain 2 4-ounce packets. And in the coconut yogurt, in order to make it, I needed something to ferment it, so I used their coconut water probiotic. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my results and then taste it. I actually did taste it already, but taste it for the video. So this is the coconut yogurt. Now, it's not as smooth, so to speak, as when they do it, big companies that make it in some machines, since I only use my blender over there. So you see, and there's like kind of little pieces from the coconut. That's okay, so it's a little bit more kind of thickish, you know, not maybe as smooth. So I actually let this sit on the counter for probably about a day and a half. I opened it up and smelled it, and it does smell, you know, coconutty, and but I wanted to ferment it a little longer. And don't forget, when I first had this in the jar, it was coming right from the freezer, the coconut, the frozen coconut. So it needed to warm up because it needs warmth to ferment. So, and again, if you want to do anything with this, once it's like this, it's actually pretty thick. Let me just get a spoon here. Let me find a spoon that I can use. So, you know, this, you can use it to make the treats that I'm going to make as well, and then they'll be fermented treats. But you'd want to make it right away because it's only good for a few days. Or I'm going to show you actually how I do it. So I'm going to take a little taste of this. I'll show you how it looks. I don't think it looks any different than when I showed you before. But it does definitely taste fermented, as opposed to just eating the coconut by itself. It has a nice taste, and it's really good for you since it's fermented. So it's such a simple recipe to make, and you know, you could make it every few days if you need to use it up in a few days after you make it, and it's great. Make your own. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some coconut treats. Now, you can make so many things with this coconut. You know, you can put it in a smoothie. You can use it to make coconut milk, it says on here. You can mix it into pancakes, cookies, mix with butter and rice. I don't use butter, but, you know, some kind of spread. Make it into a salad dressing, pureed in soups. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make these little, like, kind of like coconut macaroon treats. But since this is frozen, and yes, this is still frozen, I put it back in the freezer the other day. So, and then if you've never seen what a young green coconut, I should actually show you. I don't know if I showed you. That's the young green coconut. So that's what's in the tree. What you see in the store, you don't see those in the store. They cut that all away, and you see the white or the kind of hairy one. So I've learned from over the years that it's not really good to get those, because once they're like that, that hard shell is what protects the coconut. And if you see, it's starting to break because it's getting soft, so I want to use it. So if you get it that way, sometimes they soak it in formaldehyde because it travels far away. So I don't recommend those. So I'm going to get my knife here so I can open this. So today I'm going to be doing this in a different blender. I used a different blender the other day from Tribest. It's also the company they make. It's called Dynablend. It's a glass. This is a personal blender, and it comes with these BPA-free containers. And you can also use, there's certain types of glass ones where they have a part and attachment. See, it has a special attachment on it that you could use it with glass, which I prefer glass mason jars. But I'm going to actually be doing it in here today because it's more convenient. And since this is the container that they have, you don't need this special attachment to it. So I'm going to open this up. So in order to make my treats, I'm going to just be blending the coconut. And since it's already starting to defrost, it does defrost quite quickly. It's still frozen enough that it'll go into the container without it being all mushy like the other video that I did. So it's still pretty whole, and I'm going to put it in there. And you know, you can add other things to this to make these treats, because you want them to be thick. And I prefer not to use water. Like in the coconut yogurt, I did not use water. I prefer, if I didn't need to use water, maybe use citrus. So I actually have some blended orange from the other day from the farmer's market. I just want to get the rest of this out of the package because it's starting to get soft. So I blended up some orange, some mandarin, some cacao, which is a really interesting, nice orange. And the other one was a navel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that to the coconut and blend it together. And I'll show you how this personal blender works. So I have this is the orange blended that I have. It kind of looks more like a sherbet or sorbet. So I'm going to take some out here and add that. So it's going to give it a different color. It's not going to be white. And hopefully this will blend pretty easily. I don't know. So I want it to stay thick, because if I'm going to make treats, the other thing you can do is you can put it in the freezer and to harden them. And what I would do is I would line a plate or something with parchment paper, because then it's easier to get out. And I have some parchment paper to show you. Whoops, I put the wrong thing on. That doesn't work with the cover. The cover is for afterwards. So this can also end up being a smoothie too. And so let me plug it in here and get it blended up. So we'll see what we get. What I'm doing is I'm actually just pulsing it right now to kind of get the coconut down, because there's more liquid in the orange, and then hopefully that'll work. So there's a pulse on here and there's a steady. So you can, this is really nice for small things. And I'll have a link to Tribest as well, so you can check out all the products. So now it's working a little better, and sometimes I just shake it down. It's still quite frozen. It's starting to. Again, I also don't want to add water, because then it's not going to be as thick, and then I'll have to add other things to thicken it, which I could do anyway, but it's just taking a little time here to process. It's not as fast as I thought it would be. I might break it up now with the spoon a little, because it's having a hard time. Find a big spoon here. It's having a hard time doing it in this little blender. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to try to break up the coconut a little, because it's not quite doing it, because it's still pretty frozen. It's not soft. But you want it to keep it frozen because it's easier to take out of the package. Otherwise it gets really hard to do. So I'm just kind of breaking it up a little more with the spoon, so that actually will help. So now it's turning this beautiful color. Look at that beautiful orange, yellowish orange color. So we're going to try to blend it a little more. If I can get the ingredients down to the bottom, you have to make sure that you do that. Now this is not as high power blender, so you have to be careful, because sometimes it can overheat. So we're getting there. We're not quite there yet. I'm going to have to, you know, mash it a little more. Make sure it breaks up. So, you know, this is taking a little more time than I thought, but this is a new experiment. I've never made it before like this. So hopefully now it is better. And with this, it's better to pulse. You're safer than to do the steady state, because then it may turn off, and if it overheats, you have to wait a while. So I was mentioning, while I'll let that sit for just a minute, about parchment paper. I don't actually have the package, but I'll look for the company. So this is, you know, non-bleached or anything. So the reason why you would line this in a plate or a tray if you're making treats so that they don't stick to the plate or whatever you're using. So let's just see how we're doing here. So this still may need things to thicken it. And I have some different superfoods that we're going to add to this. And I will show you those in just a minute. I think we're getting there. Slowly but surely. So with this, if you're going to make something like this, you might want to let it sit out for maybe like 5 minutes, the frozen coconut, just because it'll be easier on your blender. If you're going to use a big blender, since this was such a small amount, you know, I only used 4 ounces, one of the packets. I didn't think it was necessary to use the big blender. And then it's easier to get the stuff out of here with this smaller, this smaller personal blender. So we're almost there. Now what you could do is just let this defrost for a while. But since I'm doing this video, I can't do that because I want to show you what I'm going to make with it. So you could just let it defrost a little more once it's starting to be blended. And then it probably will be easier to work with. So we're going to try one more time and I think we're going to be good. Just make sure I get my ingredients down to where the blades are, otherwise you can't blend. There's nothing there to blend. Now since it's kind of frozen, it's a little more testy, but I think we're going to call it done. And I'll show you the results. It looks really pretty. It could actually just be a smoothie if you want. It's got a nice yellowish, orangish color. Or not a smoothie, it could just be a dessert, a treat just like that. But what I wanted to make, and I'm going to unplug this, but what I wanted to make was something with them, so it's a little more hands-on, so to speak. So what I'm going to do is take some of this out and put it in a bowl. And then I have these different powders to use. So then I'll show you again what it looks like. So it is pretty thick. And I'll just show you, you know, how to make a few of them, or 1 or 2, and the different ingredients you can use. And I may or may not use the ingredients I show you, but they're just different options. And I will actually have links to some of the sites of these other companies that have these products. So this is what it looks like. It looks really nice, actually. Like I said, you could just eat it like this. It'd probably be delicious. So, and then if you don't want to make it into the little coconut treats, and there's still some frozen here that didn't blend, then you can also just eat it like this, like a pudding, a coconut pudding. So some of the ingredients you could use that I have here that are nice to use, you can use hemp and chia seeds. This is from a company called Navitas. You can add those in there. That would be really nice. If you want to make it sweet, you could use coconut sugar, again from Navitas Naturals. Also, another powder that's really nice is lucuma. And I do have videos, reviews of these products, and I go in detail explaining all the benefits and the nutrients of these if you want to check that out. And then also maca powder is really nice. Another one, if you want to really, really have fun with it, is you can do some cacao powder. Or you can also add some cacao nibs to make it crunchy. And let's see what else we have. Other things you can use to add to it if it's not thick enough, if you want to stay within the coconut type of products, is a coconut flour. This is from a company, a brand called Let's Do Organic from the company Edward & Sons, and I did review this product too in another video. So you can add coconut flour. And if you don't want to use chocolate, if you're not a fan of chocolate, you can also use carob. And I have carob powder from Foods Alive. Again, I've reviewed their products, and you can check out those videos. The other things you can add which are nice too is to grind up some black sesame seeds. This is also from Foods Alive. And I do it dry, I don't soak them first. And then this is golden, raw, whole golden flax seeds. And everything is also organic, so you know, this is from Bob's Red Mill. And that I did not review their products. So, so those are the different things you can add. And here are the the black sesame seeds, they get kind of clumpy. You can see that. That's already ground. Whoops, I'm spilling it all over the place here. So that you can use in there. You can make it chocolate and vanilla. You can mix it in. That would be nice. The other option is the flax seeds I mentioned, and this is the flax seeds. Trying not to spill it this time. That's the flax seeds ground up. So what I'm going to do, I think, is if you want to make it chocolatey, it's going to take away the color. Won't be as. So I have a little bowl here where I'm going to put in some of the powders. I'm going to use maca. So I'm going to combine the powders first, and then take some of the ingredients from there and mix it in. So I'm going to take some maca. I'm going to take some coconut sugar. We're going to make it sweet. And, you know, if you wanted to make it more like savory, you could. You can use herbs and spices and stuff like that with the coconut flour, you know, make it a savory coconut treat. Then I'm going to add, oh, I forgot there's another product. There's their superfruit mix. It's an antioxidant smoothie mix, and that has goji, pomegranate powder, and acai powder. So I think I'm going to use some of that. And you can also do a few with some of the powders and a few with different ones, so they'll actually be different colors. And then I'm also going to use, for this one, I think I'm going to use some cacao and some of the cacao nibs to make it crunchy. Throw a little bit of cacao. So I'm not really measuring, I'm just eyeballing, maybe a couple of tablespoons from the bag. And then I'm also going to throw in a little of the cacao nibs. And if necessary, once I add the coconut orange mix, if I see it's still too wet, what I'll probably use is some of the coconut flour. So I'm going to just mix this all together. And the coconut sugar is a little, it needs to be broken up just a little. So I'm just mixing these ingredients together in my little bowl. And then what I'm going to do is add some of this mix. And actually, maybe I should do it a little differently. No, maybe I'll just do it this way. I'm just going to take a big spoonful, put it in here, roll it in, and then I could actually form it into a ball. And this might be a big ball, a big coconut treat. So, and then, like I said, I probably would freeze it because it seems kind of wet. And this is going to be a big one. You can call these truffles, you know, coconut truffles. So it came out kind of big. This is what it formed into. You can see that. That looks really pretty. So what I may do is, like I say, take some parchment paper, which I have over here already cut, and put it on a plate here for you to see, and then put that in the freezer. I think I'm going to make one more for you to see. Like I said, since it's so wet, it's better to put it in the freezer. I'm going to make another one. And I'm just mixing everything into the coconut. And instead of adding more coconut flour, instead of adding, I should say, coconut flour, I'm just going to do it this way. Then put it on the parchment. Because since it's so wet, it's not going to work if it's just on the plate. It needs to be on the parchment, because that'll keep it. So I'll show you what they look like. So here they are. This one is a little wetter than the other. But here's what they look like, if you can see that. Turn it to the camera. So they look really pretty. So these are little coconut treats. They could be coconut cookies. You know, if you flatten them out, you could put them in a tray flat and then cut them and have little bars. Coconut bars with coconut superfood bars, you could call them. So there's many options to do that. So one is a little flatter, so I'm going to actually leave it like a cookie, and then the other looks like a little truffle ball. So I am going to put this in the freezer, and I didn't actually make any in advance to show you because I only had that one packet of coconut to use. So that's what I made today, is my coconut treats. And again, this is from inner-ēco. They're 100% young green coconuts, blended, ready to use, keep frozen, and they're also, so you know, they're also I believe they're naturally low in sugar, no cholesterol, no fat. And I do have other videos that talk about this more in detail if you want to learn more about this product. So I thank you for watching. It's the Rawesome Vegan Gal.